Music creation is incredibly complex. Many people try to make music, and a lot of folks fail. The reason why they fail is not because they don't have drive or desire or good taste. It's because they don't have the ability to get their ideas out.
Our planet and our civilizations are changing faster than ever before. Join me as I travel the globe talking to startup founders using technologies to make our world more interesting, accessible and livable. These are the entrepreneurs that are creating the future we will live in. This is Now Go Build. Amsterdam. I love this city. My city. I'm Dutch, but I'm from Amsterdam. You see a stunning city filled with art, music, architecture, food, and canals and bicycles everywhere. I see home. When I left the Netherlands, Amsterdam was just beginning to find its way in the technology world. Today, Amsterdam has become a thriving tech hub with a fast-growing startup scene. A scene that has inherited the city's centuries-old practice of world-changing innovation. Throw in the artists and musicians that have always found their place here, and you can see why I believe there's no place like Amsterdam. It is always good to come back and visit my old haunts, drink my favorite drinks, and eat my favorite food. But this time, I'm in Amsterdam for one of my favorite gatherings, the Amsterdam Dance Event. ADE is a celebration of electronic music and technology, two things I can't do without. People come from around the world for conferences, to discover new music technologies, and of course, to dance. I decided to bring together some of the technologists in town and one of my favorite EDM artists in my local pub, the Black Dog. We met to discuss the evolving relationship between music and technologies.
When you think about music, software is not the first thing that comes to your mind, is it? How has creation of music changed by the introduction of software?
I would say one thing it's done is it's leveled the playing field and made it way more accessible for more people, where from being a DJ to being a producer, you used to have so much gear that was expensive, hard to come by, and if you wanted to like play a synthesizer sound, you'd have to own a synthesizer. And so software makes it so there isn't this cost gear barrier.
We've taken the idea of software as an instrument and expanded it to being software as a connector. So when two artists need to work together better, we provide software for that collaboration to happen sort of in the background. And we go all the way to our sounds product, in which we make a marketplace, an artist-to-artist marketplace for people to connect and share sounds and samples that they're using in productions today. So software is really not just connecting people, but blurring the lines between instrument and technology.
In the music industry, it's interesting to see there's still this attachment to some gear. So yeah, we're going towards software to make music, but I think there is this moment of creativity when you can have that direct contact with the instrument, and the controller, the hardware, become the instrument. And I think the good integration of software within the hardware to make the workflow seamless is really what we are shooting for.
So walk us a little bit through a typical curation process.
Typically, I'm sent beats by producers, and what I like to do is, before I listen too much to each thing and get too stuck in it, I want to just sit with my laptop, plug everything in, hit record just from the go, because I feel like whatever comes to you instinctively, it's probably the best it's gonna be.
What's the role of technology in the whole collaborative process?
Well, firstly, I no longer have to be in the same room as somebody. Previously, if we wanted to make a track together, we had to meet up, go in a studio and make a track. But I have collaborators now all over the world, and we're sharing files and sharing ideas in all kinds of different ways, from just like emailing stems to even like FaceTiming each other while one of us is working on a track and saying like, oh yeah, like turn that up, or like, oh yeah, I like that over there. It's really opened up the world for potential collaborations.
Is there still a role for the traditional studio?
I'm all a big fan of like remote work and collaboration from all over the world because it makes it easier, but this human connection of having several artists in the room and having this connection in the creation process is very important to still have this moment where you get together.
I mean, there's no substitute currently for being in the same room. And having that immediate feedback of someone like playing a lick on the keys and the singer going like, oh, I like that. There isn't really an equivalent in the cloud.
I promise you, we're working on it.
Thank you, please. I would like to never interact with another human
Well, actually,
I take that. Yeah, I mean, there is this sense in which, like, the cloud not like replacing real life collaborations, but being like another party in the room, where when you need that, when you have that moment of inspiration together, and you're like, oh, we need like an orchestra, then you don't have to then go. Like, did you know any tuba players? I don't know any tuba players. It's like you load in the orchestra plugin.
Where's the drum set?
All of this is a drum set.
Okay.
Yeah. This is every instrument right here.
Cool. So, keyboard?
Keyboard. The keyboard is any virtual instrument or sample that I want to manipulate, I can manipulate it here. So that's why when we say the drum set is here, it really can be where this could be the kick, this could be the snare, this could be the hi-hats, and I can play everything I need with this.
It looks like a keyboard, but it's just an API, just an interface to the instruments that you have there.
Yeah.
The turntable is not really a turntable. You use it for something else than just playing the record, I assume.
Yeah. So it's any sound I can manipulate it like this. This is also just this is a controller. The machine pad is a controller. This has become a controller too, and it's just how can you touch your sounds?
Yeah, it's not really that you're playing the audio that's on the vinyl.
No. So it's really used. I mean, it's used to control literally any sound that's ever been recorded or that we record. So actually, we could grab. Yeah. So.
Go, build, build.
Can you talk a bit about sort of the distribution part as well? How has that changed over time?
Basically, distribution, as in getting your songs out to the general public, has changed because consumption essentially comes from YouTube or some type of subscription platform, Apple Music, Spotify, etc. The difference in getting your music out there isn't really about where you can find it, because really you can find it almost anywhere. It's more about how you get someone to hear it. And because if you are placed on an Apple Music New Music playlist or Spotify Discover Weekly, it can dramatically change your career as an artist. So the algorithms essentially have an enormous power and also responsibility to the culture of music. I mean, you're talking 50, 60, 70 million people, they get a different song. That's a huge difference, huge difference.
Yeah, because in the past, I mean, we saw this shift happening where get control towards the musician instead of the label.
Yeah.
But if there's other gatekeepers now suddenly that are algorithms are the gatekeepers, you should try to avoid that as well, because otherwise you start making music to please the gatekeepers.
Oh yeah,
to get past the gate.
And it's very tough to make significant income off of these streaming services unless you get on like a huge playlist. Like I think last I checked, 10,000 streams was like $40, and so we'll get a dinner. And so in terms of actually making a living, one thing is it makes artists look for other avenues, but the current system is certainly not doing justice to artists in terms of their music having value.
How do you make your money?
Yeah. So I've always had a bit of a business head on me, and I knew that as a vocalist and as a female vocalist, that I could record myself and then kind of set up a business from it. So once I started bringing out vocal sample packs, which was sort of another line of session work for me, really, I just found a lot of people were reaching out to me through the vocal sample packs that I had made. It was less of a collaboration and being like, you tell me what you want and I can create that for you or I can craft that for you. And then I would charge for that service. Over time, I felt like I wanted to be more creative. And so now I'll work with people, like sometimes you have to do that for free if you're trying to get into that, record label or whatever. Yeah. But for me, a big part of it was the vocal sample packs.
If you're a music creator and you're not like a superstar, you have to sort of pursue a bunch of different revenue streams. And what's interesting about Splice in particular is that now there's a way for that community to sell to each other.
Artists have long been exploited by the people in charge of distribution, from publishers to record labels to promoters and ticket distributors. It has always been difficult for musicians to take control of the business side of their art, the finances and distribution. But new technologies and the cloud are rapidly changing that power dynamic. Maarten Bloemers, the CEO of Amsterdam startup Guts, is in town for ADE. In part by using Ethereum's flavor of blockchain, Guts is tackling the problem of ticket scalping and price gouging. On the way to one of the opening dance events, by boat of course, we found some time to talk about the problem this former lawyer has set out to solve.
So why is scalping a problem?
Well, in Holland it is a big problem. So they buy up a bulk of tickets for cheap and then they sell them off for higher prices. And the markups are insane, can reach up to 700% markup. There are cases known that the scalpers, they make more money of the whole event than all the artists or everybody involved.
So there must be some smartness in the tickets. So tell me about that.
Basically what we do is we make the ticket truly digital. So normally the tickets are distributed via like a PDF, so you can duplicate it. It's tangible basically. What we do is we create a truly digital ticket. We do that because our QR code refreshes every 15 seconds. It's not a sequence, it actually asks a new QR code every 50 seconds.
Okay.
Which means that screenshots and duplicating is impossible.
How much do you rely on the smart contract part of Ethereum?
Very, very little, and it keeps getting smaller every month.
So I like to make the case then that blockchain is not necessary here. I think what you're looking for is immutability.
Yeah.
Yeah, and transparency, of course.
Yeah.
When looking at blockchain, I think all the stories that I've heard until now, people looking for solutions on blockchain can actually be solved with a much simpler solution. Also because we know much better how to engineer those solutions. Yeah, I think decentralizing, especially with decentralized trust, things become much harder to debug, to build, and things like
Absolutely. So we made a promise we're going to do it on blockchain. So we'll try to perceive that as far and as good as we could. But when push comes to shove and it seems like useless,
all the solutions better. Yeah.
We'll go for it. Of course.
Okay.
I'm a pragmatic man.
When was the last time you bought a non-digital ticket?
I think it was actually last week for a festival. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
It still happens.
Yeah. World domination is a long way to go. Yeah.
How much work is configuration for you, Shiftee?
I would say at this point in my career, probably like 90% of my time is preparation. It's like getting all the settings ready, getting the files prepped the way that I like them, getting everything talking to each other, as opposed to actually standing up and like moving a record.
Does that mean that the creator has changed as well, becoming much more technologist?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm programming MIDI mappings in Tractor for hours on hand, and last night in anticipation of today, I'm like diagramming routing. No, there's a technical learning curve for sure that comes into it.
That's why you needed a master's degree from Harvard to be able to
I
become a
didn't know
DJ.
I needed it, but now I have it.
You know what's interesting though, and this is something where technology, specifically cloud technology, should be doing a better job for artists. The area of like feeling like, oh, am I going to get past the algorithm? Can I build a social media following? Can I even figure out how this knob connects to this knob to make the sound that I want? Like, we as technologists, I feel we have a responsibility to connect artists and to use this technology so that the artists have leverage. The artists are the one that got us here. We should be giving them technology so that they can take us to places we haven't even possibly imagined.
And do you want it to loop after that, or you want to just go?
Yeah, let it loop a couple of times.
Just on that one part.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Replenish me so. You gave me love. You gave me love. You gave me love.
Is there a path towards, let's say, automatic music generation?
Sure, there definitely is a path towards it. It's very easy to see how autonomous driving could work. You can almost feel it. You can get behind the wheel of a car and see what it's going to be like, because you kind of understand what autonomous driving is going to feel like. When it comes to music that is generated by a computer, I feel like we're in very, very early stages. Every time I've given a piece of technology that I've built or worked with or I believe is interesting to an artist, they tend to change it to something that I could have never possibly imagined.
Can part of the process be automated? Let's say automatically generating a drum track. You've already figured out the melody, now you need a drum track underneath that, but you let it generate for you.
Yeah, because I think then there's also an element of choice. Anytime you're using samples or any kind of automated anything, the artist working on it has a choice to say, I like that or I don't like that. And I love when I'm working on a track for like something to pop up and be like, hey, your drums stink, you gotta change your drums. or like, we need a bass line. I would enjoy that, and I could be like, all right, okay, you're right or not, but it's not bad to just have extra options and extra choices.
No. Or where the software gives you the feedback saying like, if you do this, you're not going to make more than $40.
That'd be funny. Yeah.
The way I envisage it is probably there's a place for fully automated music for in certain circumstances. I'm with you. I think it makes a lot of sense, but I think the interesting part is it doesn't replace the artist creating music. That's really where we want to go, and some part of that will be done by more technology to assist and to make choices for you and to be able to do the MIDI mapping for you so you don't have to do it. But it's just giving you more time to be able to create. I really think if we go back to autonomous driving and automated generated music, I think in both cases we are going to see a world where both scenarios are going to live at the same time. And of course it's much more complicated with autonomous driving because you're not going to kill anyone with bad music. It might make you in a very bad mood, but we're not going to kill anyone. You might end up killing someone. That's a different story.
You can kill a party.
Yeah, sure.
Often when you think about innovation and things like that you all think about these new glitzy new things or things that people have never heard about before. But sometimes innovation is all about sort of looking at what are the things that will never change for my customers. And the more you innovate over those processes underneath there, will benefit your customers for forever. Is there an equivalent of that in music, things that will never change?
The music's got to be dope. Like whatever the process is, whatever the tools are, when it comes out of however you hear it, if it doesn't move you, if it doesn't move the audience, doesn't matter.
So, where music is intended to create an emotion.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's something that will never change. The job of the technologist, at its core, is to be creative, to solve problems and to remove obstacles, to create more innovative ways to clear the path for the human experience. In this last year, traveling for Now Go Build, we've seen people leveraging new technologies to enable everything from language learning for refugees to access to finance for farmers that have been left behind by the world's banks, and even redefining access to healthcare for the most vulnerable. And here at ADE, it is just as exciting to see the role that technology is playing in removing the obstacles between the song in the musician's head and the wall of sound that helps us do one more very human thing: dance.